like a Sunday, but it's a Sunday. Nenga musibi mutya. Kibino girabye padde. N'ekibina yange yo nengisanga nziramu nenjigula. Naye kati njigula million ngemu n'ekitundu oba 2. Million nga 2 njigula nenjireta nenjiddamu nenjitiriza nebeerawo abaana bange ne balaba my first car. Caldina, the Caldina was bought by a northerner. Bagitwala Guru. And the guy that bought it was really happy. He was really, really happy. The guy that bought it is from the Yadi North. Young people like 3 weeks after they bought the car. I was like, Nkosa oirochi. Nkosa oirochi okuma ingine no ganamana. I told him you get a Shell petrol station. Mobote kana singamba buli ne chantonza Caldine yo. Good evening, Pade, Joseph Valley Kudembe, Lamek Titi, Muyombia Mark, Mudope, Joshua Paul Sema. Okay, Lamek Titi, are you still available? If you're available, you give me a heads up so that you don't ask again. Molunga Ivan, Hasmat, Tusime Eddie, Saleh Kazibwe, how are you guys? So, why am I even talking about you selling your car? You guys continuously try to tell me you're not going to sell your car or jiguze or yagala jivuga paka bwolifa. I get people that tell me this thing literally like every day. Negwe atha oyogera ebyo kutunda motoka goloza fetugula za kutunda. I know that nobody buys their car when they and they intend to sell it. Nange mwenyini sina motoka jengula nengamba kati njiguze ngenda kujitunda. It's not in my plan ntikanjigule njitunde, but I know that if you're still a young person in Uganda, you're going to want to sell that car, not because or with them, because majority of the time when you tell someone you might want to sell that car, they think you're saying tibagenda kwa vuala, and they don't want to ever even hear that. They don't want to ever listen to you might sell that car, which take it because then it means you see obalabanga agenda okwa vuala. And normally when I tell people you might, when you plan, when it comes to time to sell that car, I don't say it because ogenda kwavu or anything, but I know you will want to sell that car either to upgrade and get a better car, or when you've gotten like a gig abroad and you want to go and the car has money that can help you. If you want to like upgrade your house, and you feel like if I get some money out of this car, I finish this up. There are so many reasons you might want to sell a car, and it's not always because you've gone broke. And I find that we as Ugandans, we have been broke for too long, that we are scared. We are scared of even the word broke. We are scared of the word not. We are scared of not having money. I grew up in the same situation. I grew up in the condition where we used to borrow a quarter of sugar from the shop. I grew up in the condition where, you remember when Didi's World came, when they brought Didi's World was still fresh. I think I was around, I think I was around P5, P4, P5, P6. I think P6, P7, there we about it at Didi's World. And I grew up in the family where Didi's World was for the rich. I grew up in a family where the only time we went to the beach was when one of my aunties got married to someone who worked on radio, and they were celebrating their kid's birthday. And I can tell you, I changed my birthday to match up to the birthday of that cousin of mine, so that now celebrating their birthday. So when someone is really, so when someone doesn't want to even picture being broke, I understand. I am one of you guys. So, but I also understand that however rich you are, however rich you are, you might want to actually, you might one day want to change a car. You might want to sell it. So it's important that we don't think that life is going to be on the constant all the time. Because I've been to rich people's fences, rich people's homes, and one of the reasons why they don't sell their cars, ebyo byemusanga emmotoka nga bivundidde mu luggya, is because tebafuna babawaamu ssente. No one wants to have a car that doesn't move nefiira awo. Ekyo tekiraga bugagga era tebazikuumirawo nti baagala. But it's just that they buy those funny cars. Someone buys a Bentley, someone buys a Chrysler. There's those Chryslers that look like Sientas, and everyone is telling them, don't buy the Chrysler, it will give you trouble. And the guy just wants to buy a Chrysler, so he buys a Chrysler, or she buys a Chrysler, and then the Chrysler starts giving them trouble. They want to sell it, no one is willing to buy it. There's a follower of mine here. Someone told me about him. Okay, to be precise, the mechanic I gave him, he wants to buy a car. It's a certain type of car that he wants to buy, and it's not a car that has resale value. And this follower of mine is one person that has been selling cars over. And because it's the habit, you'll get tired of the car. You want to sell because you're tired. And then my mechanic was telling him, you know what? Don't buy that car because that car doesn't have resale value. It will kill your money. You get it? You'll buy it and no one will be willing to give you even like 80% of the value of the money that you bought it. But this guy is saying, it's what I want, it's what I want, it's what I want. But you guys, I want you to remember that as long as you follow for the love of cars, the moment you decide that I'm going to buy a car, you should not simply buy what you want. You need to think that, okay, if I get tired, how much money do I lose if I decide to get rid of it? Because sometimes people sell cars because they don't have any more space. Like me, I have space for, let's say, 4 cars here because I've put projects here. So I have space for 4 cars. But even then, the 4 cars are too much. For what? We are 2 adults in my home and then kids. So it's important that you remember that one time you will want to sell. You will want to sell. When you've just bought your car, you feel like, that's how you feel at that moment. But you will want to sell. But you just have to understand that when that time comes, what will happen. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Lamek Titi, yes. Atujuka Deacons. Richard say Jengo. Say Saleka Ziwe Nakubuzizako. Ri Ayare. Kenneth Sengoba, Antonio Random Things. Nathan. Sekate Brian. And Jonathan Semuwanga. So, Lamek Titi, you've asked about the Kluger versus the Kawundo. People just don't like the Kluger. And majority of the Klugers are 2.4. Now, what you guys have to understand is that 2.4 engine kind of gets faulty very fast because it's a small engine compared to the body it's holding. The 3-liter engine is one that doesn't die. But also, the Kluger doesn't look as attractive. Of course, now the newer models look very attractive, but the model that you're talking about, the one you're talking about that is cheap compared to the Kawundo, that model doesn't look as good as the Kawundo. And so people don't really like it. And you guys have to understand they are just cars that people will not want to buy. Like there is this car called the Avensis. People just did not like it. It had no problem. You drive it and it's a car. It shares spares with I think the Primo, but people just don't like it. The Vista also people just don't like it. It shares spares with Primo, but people just don't like it. It's just the same engine with the Primo new model. People just like the Primo new model. It's also as comfortable as the Primo, but people just don't like it, and they're not going to beat them. They don't like the car. So I just find that the Kluger people, the people just don't like the Kluger. And there is a time when the Klugers were high in price. Now they have gone back a little bit down. Today morning, I saw somewhere someone was selling a Kluger at 15 million, and it's a USZ. Yeah, so that's a good progression. I'm really hopeful that if things can go like that, then cars will kind of normalize, maybe go back like 80% to where they were last time. It will be a very good thing that cars will be a little bit cheaper than the cars are still crazy though. They're still crazy. because like now you would find that it's only one Kluger that is being sold at 15, and then you think, oh, Klugers are actually cheap, because at that time you're looking at a Kluger 15, and then you're looking at a Kawondo 27, and then you're saying the Klugers are cheap because you're looking at just one case. You get it? But right now, cars are just crazy. But people just don't like a Kluger. And sometimes someone will be selling their car 25, and then they have a really big problem, and then they come reducing until they say, "Man, that's why it's important that we as young people try as much as possible to not get into that situation, guys. I don't wish you to be in that situation. When you're helpless, you don't have friends. When you're helpless, you don't have friends. When you're helpless, you don't have friends. I've been there, and I don't want to ever be there again. I don't. When you're helpless, you don't have friends. You have acquaintances at that time. And then when you're out of the trouble, the acquaintances will become friends again. So try as much as possible to not get to the situation where you're selling your product, or you're selling your car at 25 million, and then you reduce 24, 23, 22, 20, 19, 18, 17. You get, try as the reason why brokers and car traders are making money is because of people that are in trouble. When you're in trouble, you don't have friends. Especially the men. When you're in trouble, you don't have friends. That's why abasajja, when you're single, you need to have like 4 girlfriends. Mikwano jo murufuti. Normally abasajja babera when they are in trouble, when you're in trouble, literally all men, we all feel like, okay, anasasurono okitegeera. So you need to have abawala boyinza okunganya okitegeera. It's a survival skill that not everyone has. Nze kati nze yakulira mu mbeera embi at high school. We had, with my best friend, we used to have that. We were 3 guys, and what we used to do is we used to solicit. We normally did not go to school with sugar. We did not go to school with grab. We just went. So when we are really broke, what we do is one of us pretends to be sick, and then the two that are remaining that are not sick pretend like the guy told me not to tell you. Fata ina appetite ya kaunga. And then that's how we survived in high school. Which together. Can you do for me car inspection? If yes, at how much? Otherwise, thank you. Amina Trevor Joram. Trevor, my pre-purchase inspection fee is 450,000 shillings. I come with the mechanic. That money covers 1 day. It covers my time, the mechanic's money, and the fuel to move us around in the Kampala Central Business District. We don't leave the Kampala CBD. If we leave the Kampala CBD, you buy extra fuel. You get. But we look at all the options available during that day. You get. Paul Katunze Muyomba, how are you? Robert Sechide. The Wish newer version, just buy. It's a good car. Tumuhimbisa Darius, how are you? Jonathan Semuwanga. Ndabyeko Hajara. JFK Arts, how are you? So anyway, buy a car, ngochimanyi that anytime chisobola okutuuka nga you want to sell that car. But then that's when you have to think that senga kinatuuka nga I actually have to sell this car. Ensala tensala etuveeyo. Ekyo nkyogedde emirundi mingi, but apparently every time you guys are going to buy a car, you never want to listen. Akaseera ako, when you have your car 20 ma, atha aba talina bwongo. Okitegeera, at that time oba atha aba talina bwongo because talina sente ezo. Okitegeera. I found that I think we all have that weakness. When you have the money and the other people don't have the money, ngate bakuwa amagezi, oba olabanga they are wasting your time. They should not be advising someone that has money like you. I think that's where the saying came. 2 people you cannot advise is a woman in love and a man with money. You get it? But in bintu by'emmotoka bino olujanja twetaaga ntulujjamu. Now, first of all, if you have a car right now, whether you are planning to sell it or not planning to sell it, or you don't even want to plan to sell it, the first thing you need to try to do as much as possible is keep your car in good condition. Service it on time, do the repairs on time, don't scratch your car anywhere, not even under. Don't try as much as possible to not scratch. Try as much as possible to drive carefully on the road. Try to avoid borders. Don't drive the car that like it's the end of the world. You get, there are people that drive cars and it seems like, okay, it's the end of the world. Try as much as possible to not do that. To keep the car in shape. Don't follow lorries behind, because when you follow the lorries, or you see those two tires between there, a stone can come from there and hit your windscreen. Some of those trucks are having heavy load. Waliwo emmotoka z'amanda, ensawo y'amanda gyavaayo kuba emmolokayo. You guys toyagala wa boda abayingire, you don't want a taxi guy to enter, and then you don't give the lorry enough distance. That might end up in you losing your car. So try as much as possible to keep that distance. I also find that you need to be careful where you take your car for fixing or for random maintenance, for routine maintenance, because a bad mechanic will actually spoil your car. I'm telling you, a bad mechanic will simply spoil your car. One person here, one of my followers, went to, first of all, kuchusa bwebaita the cross bwebaita obunege, and akakantu ka mitwalo esatu. They sold it to him at 150k. Ate era ize emitwalo 15 yali asobola okufuna ekintu kiramba n'afissa nawo ku ssente. Yali asobola okufuna omutayimba mulamba nga gugiddeko n'ako akanege n'ekikopo, but bamuguza kanege kokake yena ne bakamuguza emitwalo 15. So when he said, I laughed because that was and normally I tell guys, don't go to a mechanic. You know, when we buy cars, all of a sudden we start thinking kati ntegeera, kati nyine mmoroka yange lwaki bantegeerera. And that's what happened to him. And then he went to a different mechanic, ne bamukolako emikolo. And then that time I told him, stop going to those mechanics that you don't know. He went again. His car had a leaking steering pump. So he went back to that place, and apparently he bought a new steering pump. But they did not still buy a new steering pump. They put his steering pump. Sorry, network. So after they did not, he goes back to the mechanic I gave him. And then the mechanic tells him, we have to buy a steering pump. And then that's when he says, oh, but I just bought a steering pump. But they hadn't put a new steering pump. So that's where he was. Then there is another follower of mine here. This person has been fixing the gearbox for some time. And I think the one thing that happens is normally when you guys get frustrated with your cars, and then you want to take it out on the person that gives you a solution. Now, if Arthur, for example, helped you do pre-purchase inspection, bw'okomayo wa makanika Arthur gwe yagamba okozesa, ate oyagala olagireyo frustration, toyagala kumusasula, okitegeera, olw'okuba eri you have spent a lot of money the other side, which is a very bad thing. So this person, he called my mechanic when the car has gotten stuck on the road because the gearbox was dead. The gearbox was dead, but he was fixing it elsewhere, and it wasn't really working. So the mechanic, they pick the car, they take it to the garage, and then they start working on it. They finally work on it and they finish the car, but then he doesn't want to pay. You get, you know, when you're fixing something like a gearbox, like an engine, there are costs that will come along the way. Now, any mechanic that is worth his name will tell you, it would be very easy. So most of the mechanics will do exactly what you have told them to do, or exactly what needs to move your car from here to there, so that it breaks again and then you come back. That's what most mechanics do. And it's very rare for you to find someone. It's like a doctor. A doctor will say, we are going to do this operation. But if they are doing that operation and they find that there's another operation that needs to be done, they will not leave it, because cutting you up again is another piece of work. You get? But apparently most Ugandans don't like that. If a Ugandan has budgeted 100,000, he wants to use just 100,000 no matter what. And that's why most mechanics actually get. He uses your 100,000 and then you move. The car breaks down again, you call him. And he says, now, the mechanics I use, Zenga Arthur, I've trained them to not let anything slide. If there is something that needs to be done, we do it. But most, especially the guys that are buying their first cars, muli baba oba bakiriza batya simanyi. Corona Chivina, wish and Vista. You can't compare a Wish to a Chivina or Vista. Those are different. Chivina is like 5 to 6 million, Vista is like 7 to 8 million, and a good Wish goes up to 20. So that's a very bad comparison. So you see what you can afford first. 12 million is only going to buy you a Vitz. You can't buy another business car at 12 million apart from a Vitz. Rupert, I think the Primo you want, the one that has a Valmatic engine, have about 26 million. 26, 27. Hi, Bernard Odongo, how are you? Arunaitwe, good evening. Amina. Kare. So you're planning to sell your car because this is going to happen to you. It might happen to you. It might happen to you. One, just make sure your car is in good condition. There is nothing that someone can come and look at your car gambe stitching colida. At least for the amount you want to sell it. And even if you don't want to sell it, at least have things that you can take away that can take the car value a little lower so that other people can afford. For example, if I wanted to sell this car cheaper, what would I do? I'll first of all take my sunscreens off. Zino. Nzijjako. Nenzijjako nenganjazisa motoka y'abatabani bange neddako. That, by just doing that, I've probably taken away like 600,000 to 800,000 of the value of the car. Kachitegeeza nsobola okugisala ku bay. I could decide, you know what, let me say sport rims off. That's what the Indians in the bonds do. That's why they have sport rims lying there. Nti Morocco ejirako sport rim nazijako najitekako ordinary rims. Banga, they know that Ugandans want to bargain. Even when something is really good, they will try to bargain. So ngajako sport rim ngatekako ordinary rims. Bojanga kugamba nensobola okuterako sport rim bwogule bay yeno. Okitegeera. Daniel, fine. How are you? Trevor Joram, can you do? I've answered Trevor Joram. I've answered you. I charge 450K. 2014, I have no idea. I've not seen anyone buy it. Thanks, Edward. Okay, so the other thing, after you have maintained the condition of your car properly, you know it now, it's good. The next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that your car is clean. Detail it. Don't wait to go to BAM car care. Buy brushes. There are brushes that are sold. Like, for example, when you look at the door, the lines that are on the window, the black lines. Now, those black lines, they get dust. They accumulate dust. Without poor washing, that dust that accumulates will soon turn those things to, will soon make those things brown. Black. And those are some of the things that make your car look really ugly. And the other thing that the one reason why I drive my car in AC all the time is because I want to keep the interior as clean and fresh, especially the roof lining here. This thing gets dirty very fast and you cannot really clean it. It's impossible. That's why majority of the times when you find that this roof lining has gotten so dirty, then that's when the guys because it's impossible to clean. You get it? And sometimes I find someone driving a car of 45 million, windows down in a dusty area, and I feel bad for the car. Because if you could manage to buy a car at 45 million shillings, you should manage buying fuel, at least fuel to take you through the dust. You should manage to at least put your windows up. There are times I put my windows down. For example, when I'm on a highway and there is no dust, there is no lorry in front of me, because normally the lorries, even when it's raining, the lorries have dust. I don't know where the dust comes from, but I try as much as possible to keep my windows up. Every time I find dust somewhere. So, but detail your car yourself. Me, I bought a vacuum cleaner. So after the live broadcast now, I'm going to bring my vacuum cleaner. So before we clean inside the car, I bring the vacuum cleaner and I suck the dust with the vacuum cleaner. So you will not find dust stuck anywhere in my car. My kids eat from behind, but I clean that place with the vacuum cleaner. I sometimes even lift the seats up and I clean under the seats with the vacuum cleaner. So some of these efforts that some of these things that you do, that you will do, I know some of you are going to also start doing those things, will keep your car in good condition. They will also maintain the value of your car. Someone will be trying to want to buy a car, and they move around and they see so many cars, and then they see your car and your car is marvelous, is in good condition, and then they have no option but to actually buy that car. So try as much as possible the things that like for example at washing bays that are modern, they'll charge you 5k to vacuum your car, for them to use a woofer or a vacuum cleaner. Woofer, they'll charge you 5k and then they'll charge you a 15k for washing. The only trouble I have with washing bays that I've seen is that they are rough. They are very rough when they're washing, and that's the reason why your car will have scratches. Now the best way normally to wash your car, and then the materials they use to wash it, baby, obukutia sometimes they are really rough, so they will scratch your car. So you find someone having a new car and get it scratched. So for me, what I've done is you can buy a microfiber kagoye. Anyway, but me, I last paid for a car wash in June 2021, and trust me, of course around September we were in a project, so I was in Masaka and I paid someone to wash my car. Yeah, but I last paid for a car wash in 2021, and I made it a point because I realized that it's really expensive, like 10k per day, because me now I would have to wash my car every day. I'd have to wash my car every day. That means I'm spending 300,000 every month. Okay, let's say 270,000 every month. That would mean I'll be spending about 3 million just on washing my car. So I bought a machine, a jet wash machine, and that thing helps very much. The guys that wash their car at washing bays that don't have that spray gun machine, it's really bad, because now when someone washes your car without first spraying the dust to go off, it's that dust that's going to scratch your car. But if they spray your car totally and all the dust goes off, now they are going to clean a body of the car that is already clean. There is no dust, there are no debris, because all the debris have gone away. You get it? And that's the other thing that the vacuum cleaner helps you also. Like the vacuum cleaner will take out all the soil, all the food, all the debris. You get it? And these things are not, they seem like they're expensive, like when you're buying now. But I bought the machine, the sprayer, the thing that I use on washing outside. I bought it 450, but I've used it for close to, I think, over 8 months now. It has never broken down. You get? Then I've used the vacuum cleaner for about 3 months now. You get? For the vacuum cleaner, I really had to think a lot. Buying a vacuum cleaner for a car is not something that you do there and then. But I thought, if I want to keep my car nice, I want my sons to be proud of the car they move in. There are things that feel tough nanga to kurai. I want my sons to actually experience it. But also, because I'm raising boys, I want them to learn that a man should have a clean car all the time. Which together. And that's one of the things that you do. But also, I'm trying to give myself peace all the time. So detail your car. Never forget to detail your car. But don't forget to drive with the AC. Then the other thing you need to do is have all the paperwork. Transfer the car to your names. Transfer the car to your names. When you do service, keep the service tag. Someone was asking me, if I do service myself, what do I do? When you go to buy oil at a petrol station, and then they give you oil, ask them for the service tag as well, so that you also have a service tag and you can record those things. That's if you do the service yourself. I used to want to do the service myself, but then I realized it's not worth the trouble. I'm paying 10,000 for labor to do the service. Nenga ate the 10,000 you're paying then, but you call a service mu dakika 10 gogenda kujja no mali dakika 2 weddugaza okitegeera. So it depends. If you have plenty of time, then you can do the service. Then I realize I don't really have the time. Watch together. Yes, you can get a Spacio old model at 10 million. Yes, David, how are you? How is work? So anyway, Make sure you have all the documents that you need. If you have not yet transferred the car, make sure you're in touch with the person that needs to transfer that car to your names, so that if you sell and you have not transferred, you just connect this person to the other person, and then the transfer goes. People don't want to buy cars where the transfer is shaky. Then make sure you don't have police receipts. I was talking to a lady some time back, talking about Akao. People have cars that smell horrible. And Chris Fitness, one of the reasons people's cars don't smell good is because of the soil. Okay, let me tell you what happens. You come from outside, step in your car with shoes that have been moving on the ground, where dogs poo-pooed, the cows poo-pooed, sometimes even people urinated there, and then you step in your car. Now that dust gets off, or that soil gets off your car and into your car, gets off your shoes and into your car. Now, when you take your car to the washing bay, they don't vacuum. When you vacuum, it's the soil, by the way, that brings most of the bad smells. It's nothing else. So they don't vacuum. They get a chigoye, and then they just smear the soil with water on your carpet. You get? Do you guys get what I'm saying? So instead of actually taking out the soil that has that, they just smear with a chigoye. And that's why most cars smell bad. But if you go to a washing bay where they have a vacuum cleaner, they will take out the soil first, make sure there is no more soil, and actually when you take out the soil, then there's nothing left really to plastic. Then make sure you have no police receipts, no multiplex or parking tickets that are outstanding, because those also cause trouble when someone has come to buy. And then probably the most important thing for you to do is research the price. Research the price in the market. Someone will want to sell a car that market value is 8 million, and then they want to sell it at 12 or 13. I've seen people, he wants to sell a car expensively, yet no one can actually buy it at that price, no matter how much you get. Like if you bought a car at 20 million, you drive it for some time, chances are high that people are going to buy it 18 or 19. Chances are high, sometimes even less. That's why normally when you're buying a car, if you're buying a car with Arthur, he advises you, know what, don't buy that car because it will kill more than 10 million of your money. And I tell the gentleman that bought the Crown some time back, you guys remember, I told him, we bought it 32, he sold it over 16. You get it? And these are things that I tell people. And sometimes they don't listen because at that time, in a million kaga gwetoyina. You get? That's why nkola nnyo ntandika okuwa abantu amagezi nga nange nnyina tugenda okugula emmotoka nga nange sente nnyinamu njogeranga ayinamu, otherwise abantu tebawuliriza amagezi gange. Ate yayambibwa nnyo n'ampuliza n'agula Crown, because had he bought a Mercedes Benz which he was going to buy at 40, he would have sold it at 10. Yali musaze miliyoni aga emiliyoni 3, because ate kati Benz tejajagala najigula. Abantu abagala ogigula be bamakanika bazigula 7. You get it? It's because of the fermenting dirt in the carpet and the moisture mixed with soap. That's a lot of English, Joshua. That's a lot of English. For me, I just say it. I wish I could master the words the way you guys couple the words in English around, like, and then you just know the word fermenting and put it in the right place. Me, every time I put a word like that in the right place, I celebrate myself. Arthur, I need a good 190 with the SC. Ojagigula million nga 10 sebo Ronald Lusambia. Chibina ekola esolo zerabika. But to sell a car needs more time than when buying. Tekali clear akopade. So, and then the other thing that you need to do, selling a car is like selling something in the shop. Selling a car needs advertisement. You see, the hardest thing for anyone to sell here in Uganda is a house. And I've sold a house before. But I was lucky. My house wasn't on the market for more than a month. They bought it in a month. And it's because I wasn't overpricing it. It's very important to not overprice something. Why wasn't I overpricing it? Me, I've learned to take every day as it comes. You see, normally when people say, it's because me, I know, I think it was JK that said that this house, for example, my house, 100 years from now, it won't be here. It might, but maybe not. Maybe my kids grow up and they finish campus and they decide they want to live in the UK. should they stay in Kampala because of a house? They can sell it and go. You get? Or maybe I get a gig to go and work somewhere abroad and it's very good money, and then I can take my family. So what? The house is what? You can always buy a new house. You sell it and go. You get? But apparently some people believe that the moment you buy something or the moment you own something, you're tied. So one of the hardest things to sell is a house. Then the second hard thing to sell is a car that is more than 5 million. Olaba ne million tane kwata. Wekitegeera. Yes, Johnson. How are you? How is Mbarara? Omwana omwe yatukubya akavuru. Yani Reiji. Yatukubya akavuru. Yajuza cricket over. So anyway, set a realistic price, but then again, you need to advertise. Let me tell you that most times when someone is selling a car, they think they are going to say, ntunda spatio yange eno. And then there is obviously someone out there that is simply waiting to buy their spatio. Someone is waiting to buy spatio. But one thing you guys need to understand is that most people that are buying, that are here to buy a car, they don't want your car. They want a car that is in the bond, whatever bond. They don't desire to buy your car. Majority of the times when people call me for pre-purchase inspection, because that's where people desire to buy cars. People desire to buy cars that are there packed. That's the psychology. They think that those cars are in better condition than a car that is owned by other, which is also wrong. So because someone hasn't wanted to buy a car that is parked in your compound, you need to advertise it. Sometimes you tell the brokers, other times you just make sure your car is attractive, take good pictures, and post it on social media yourself and say, you know what, I'm selling this car. Because there are no in Uganda, there are no systems that are designed strictly for selling cars. Tutunda motoka zokka. You get, because it has been there in the past. Checky, there are some websites that used to sell cars, but I think because they were founded by guys that were not really into the business, I think someone wanted to make money off a website, so he went to a car dealer and said, I can design a website for you, like 4 million. You give me 4 million, then you design a website, it is there, but the owner of the website doesn't actually know how to update it. So it's just there like a display. Therefore, numbers are there, so you go see the cars and then you call him, and then for them, they were making enough money. But a website like you see how Gigi, but a Gigi for cars, that we don't have. I tell you now about program Abanji. And I saw Canvas, they ventured into that side of the value chain as well. Watch again. I don't know Tazan. Started Simanyi. Ninga wana million ninga tano mukaga. Hi Jojo, how are you? People like the broadcast. Thank you very much, Pade. My brain is like you. I don't put so much pleasure on some things. I know there is tomorrow for me. There is always a tomorrow. Katinze, when, for example, Ngawano, before I came to this place in Zimbabwe, I calculated, no, let me take you back to Kasangati where I used to be. I used to rent a house of 250 before I moved to my house in Kasangati. So when I was building my house in Kasangati, I calculated how much it would cost me to finish that house and how many years I would have to live there to recoup all my money. So I was paying rent in advance. So even here, Nasasula rent in advance. We moved here in 2021, 2022, 23, 24. These are 4 years now. We made 4 years, by the way, in this place. But because this is now a bigger house, I have to calculate how much money I would have put in the end, and then see how many years I actually have to live here for me to recoup my money. Now, if after those years I've recouped my money, I decide, you know what, Arthur, I think it's time for us to move to a different location. You just come and give me the money I invested in that house. I don't even want profit, because real estate is not my business. Mpa, someone here was buying my car, and I told him, you know what, okay, no, najiguza sente bwezi nyongera mu emitwalo 5 ogitwale. Okitegeera. Nazimpa, I try to look for the same car nembula. Nembula ne kakati bwogenda yo kati. They have the bad versions. Okitegeera. Ne kakati teriyo. Tebagireta. The other cars that are there that are almost like that, zili mu million ya asatu and something like that. But why do I do like that? It's because the customer yunga sikoze rose. For me, I'm okay. So even you, when you have your car, try as much. That's why I normally tell people, when you buy a car for the first 3 months, don't do modifications. Don't. The modifications are going to cost you money. I've bought a car, let me buy offset rims. I've bought a car, let me put big tires. I've bought a car, let me put the muffler. I bought a car, let me put a spoiler. Don't do those expensive modifications until you're sure that you want that car. Otherwise, it might cost you. You get, sometimes you get excited. You'll do the modifications, then all of a sudden you don't want the car anymore. You have invested 3 million in those modifications. And then, of course, if you're selling the car, remember we have said you need to advertise, create good ads, by the way. Then prepare for viewings. Let people come and see your car. Some people be selling cars. Was it an Alex that one of my followers here bought from a guy? But we went and saw the car like today. Then they went and think they viewed cars in the Vivanda. Then they realized this car was better. Then they called tomorrow in the morning. That day I had a show. So we called the guy and he says, Mpozi gama makanika wafune moroka jandetera aleteno. And that's what we did. We got a car. It was taken to him. He gave us the other car. And he paid and went. You get it? So when you're selling your car, you need to be prepared to actually put it somewhere. That's why the people abibi banda bakora, because their cars are ever on display. But then you don't say I'm selling a car. Another moment someone tells me, I don't deal with that. If you're selling the car, sell it. And let them buy it. And then, of course, be prepared to negotiate, because the people that are going to buy your car, they are going to want to buy it cheaply. That's their goal. Brokers will come to you and try to show you that your car is bad. I'm telling you, they'll want to show you that your car is bad, and they'll want to buy it at like 30% the value. Be prepared to negotiate, and don't listen to bullshit. That's why normally I tell you guys, togula moroka ya bei ngatonda bakuba wa bei. Okitegeera. Togula moroka ya bei ngatonda bakuba wa bei. Okitegeera. Buy a car, keep money. Buy a car, keep money. Sigaza sente kwa akaunti. So that you never get to a point where you sell your car, the car you bought expensively. Atoji tunde laisi. Okitegeera. Try as much as possible. After some guy wanted to sell me a RAV4 short at 7 million. My mechanic told me, I know this engine. Was it a good deal? Yeah, if the other things were okay, the engine, but just be them to Arungachinana. Zinza no butaweda. Hey, what are you in a good abuguzi? Do you know what it means to get a car at 7 million now? You people, me, I do inspections. I cut out. Even if you give me pre-purchase inspection fee, me, I don't inspect cars in Busimanya. I have a budget of 5 million. Ntandikira kati mu million 10. I don't want to go there onumo omutwe omaroveyo ogambe twalimeddwa atha kati mpayo olunaku olulala. Keep your money. Oba go and buy your car on your own. Okitegeera. Why? Because now me, I know the kind of people. You're going to sit in Arthur's car, then you want to buy a car that looks like Arthur's car at 5 million. Okujja ko nga munga tukolera inspection ya moroka enkadde. Naye funa ekikadde kyotambulira mukuba ne bwe bakolola yange bwono ogitwa mu jakagalo ogule moroka eringa kola ku million 5 nga teriyo. Okitegeera. And then, of course, after you have sold your car, this is the very last thing, and it's very important. After you have sold your car, ask that person for a TIN number. Okay? Ask them for a TIN number. Get out the transfer forms. Why do you want to get the transfer forms out? You want to have evidence that I sold this car. I even gave them transfer forms. Because the moroka sengene okoro omusango bagenda kukwata kwechali manyago. But senge moroka ebechali manyago naye nga mu system muli mutu yafulumya transfer forms. You're a safe person mu mateeka. era ojja kugenda maaso g'omulamuzi omugambe sebo omulamuzi naguza omuntu oyo emmotoka ne mugiramu transfer form ne mugamba agenda akole transfer obuvunaanyizibwa bwo awo we bukoma oba si kyekyo if you actually want to be safer the amount you're selling include transfer fee so that when they go they give you a tin number you go and transfer the car to their names. Now this is a very important thing. Temuddamu kutunda mmotoka mabanja. Owulira you'd rather eat a small money and eat it whole and go. Ebyokutunda mabanja mbirekera abasuubuzi. Binary sources, they have connections in police to go and follow up those cars. Toddamu kutunda mmotoka mabanja atalina cash tagula mmotoka yo gisigaze genda weewole mu banka. Oba you make good friends bakuwole. Nze nyina emikwano gye neewola sente banetagayo kakadde kamu kadde bubiri nyina wenzijja mu mikwano gyange. Okitegeera nti nyenjagala kutambuza project netagayo miliyoni 5 nga mulaga paperwork njagala miliyoni 5 wezi tingera zikuwa lunaku era I pay diligently. Okitegeera that helps you to not get to a point where you're going to sell your car very cheaply oba okutunda emmoloka y'amabanja. Abantu abagula emmoloka amabanja tebaagala kusasula emmoloka yagitwala and afterwards nalyoka atandika abatalina mmoloka ne bamuwa amagezi naye nga baakosedde tozimuwa ate anakola ki. And then it's the people like those people that don't want to pay that interpret the law. Bebagenda ne babuuza abantu omuntu bwanguza emmoloka ebbanja n'asigala nga manja ye miliyoni 2 ayina olukusa olusika emmotoka I will pull it. I can pull it. Nze nyina ekimoloka kyemmanja wenkigwirako ngenda kyasayasa ndabirwamu because gwe nagiguza yagaana okunsasula n'agitunda ne gwe yagiguza nankubira essimu nga tannamalayo. They even tried to transfer the car and they failed. It's still in my names. Naye wengisanga ngenda gyasenda birwamu zonna njabye emipiira gyonna because I know with that cost there my money nja kuba nkavalenzeeko nga 50%. Okitegeera why am I going to do that? It's because I sold that car in 2020 I think and the guy refused to pay me. But wenjigwirako bwenti sigenda kukola kintu kyonna. It's a UAR 312F. UAR 312F. Nja kwasa endabirwamu yo maaso njase zino njase neya mabega ngende. Okitegeera. And by the way guys, for the guys that normally buy cars ne mutayagala kusasula ekintu kye mutannaba kuyiga Kampala wano there is a mafia. Mulaba mafia betulaba mugundi abagayi kati nga the gangs that killed Tupac. Lwakuba nti kati abantu abamu barking dogs seldom bite. Kati ibyo byombyogedde naye ate sibisobola. Okitegeera. So but they are mafias. Let me tell you a story that I had. Someone wanted to buy a house, so brokers got him a house. Then when he got to the house, he pretended he did not like the house and he left. Even the brokers left. Then he went back without the brokers. And he paid for the house. Then the brokers realized that he went and paid for the house. They did not get commission. They called him to a commission wafe. You know how people can talk. And what they did, what your gangs Kampala nga abantu bawe emitwalo 10 ne bakola kyoyagala. Jeziri. You guys have seen people bebakuba ne babatta. Omulowooza ate babakubira sente meka. So it's a story I had. I don't have proof. But I had kyebakola ne bapangisa abavuka ne bagenda ennyumba ne bagimenya yonna to the ground. Okitegeera. Why? Because of not wanting to pay commission. Chris Fitness abuza, why not just pull it kuba ekyali motoka yo no teba yiyo customer nga signing endagaano nti watunda eba teba yiyo. That's why I'm telling you temutunda motoka mabanja. Legally for you to, it's not you who is supposed to actually pull the car. It's supposed to be court. It's the court. And when it's small money 3 million you have to go to small claims. That's going to cost you more money. Then you'll pay bailiffs. Then they'll pull the car and then they'll put it there. And then sometimes you're going to pull a car of someone who is actually too broke to even pay. And then the car will be there. So I tried to go through all those processes. And then I realized that I even saw the car. I think I let it go. And one thing I realized that somehow God rewards. Nti omuntu yagana okunsasula yavwala n'ayavwala okitegeera ddala nno ate nze nga neeyongera mu maaso okitegeera. Arthur, also about doing transfer, I see your RA keeps taxing you See, it's still on. I have a friend who has sold over 5 vehicles without transferring to buyers. Highlight us on it. No. There is no tax that comes with you owning a car. No, there is no. It's just there. It's just there. There is no tax. You own it, because that car already paid tax. You get it? Yeah. Pade, you're right, because my father sold his Suzuki Escudo at 7 million, but the man gave him 2.5. My father demanded his balance. The man started to say no balance because they can't fool you till now. Exactly. Don't, whatever you do, guys, don't sell your car for installments. Totunda motoka mabanja. At least teberewa ogenda weole sente motoka bagiteke ku caveat obere nayo. But you are sending messages of okumubanja. Bamubanja birate bambanja bya motoka. Johnson, when you register a TIN number, you're supposed to file income tax every year. Because a TIN number is meant for URA to collect tax. It's a tax identification number. So the moment you get a TIN, you're supposed to start paying tax to URA every year. Every year you're supposed to file returns. And filing returns every month. Even the money you guys give me here for inspection, even the money that I get from YouTube, I file it. Then nebagamba nakola zino nenfissa zino mukwateko 30% yammwe okitegeera. So if you don't pay income tax for continuous years, they start saying, okay, we thinking. Then they look at the cars you have, ainake motoka 10 oyateeka okuba ina sente, then nga basala bugumu gabaga katumusajinge musoro bwegutu. You get it? So tell your friend to start filing returns. Martha, I let it go. Njakyasa yasendabirwamu. Era wenkigwirako ekyo ekimotoka, wenkigwirako obanja yabafunira abaana bamafia ne bamafia abo bali luddawa. You know, when I was at campus, nalina omusomesa mukyala yali aneesimbyemu ng'ayagala kunsuula. Ndi mwaka gusembayo, nkola waaka wange bulungi, omukyala ndi bubi. So what I did, ngamba nayo omukyala n'amala ansuula, kuba nze nali neeweerera. Omukyala ono n'amala ansuula nja mumenya amagulu, nze saagala bintu byakuyuza. Kuba abantu emakerera awo bazanyira ku gundi. I want to do a master's, but I can't even go to MOOC. I want to do a PhD, but I won't even go to MOOC. Because abantu b'oku MOOC bakulemesa. I know someone that did a master's degree for 10 years. Nga ate mugezi. 10 years nga bamulemesa. Okitegeera. So omukyala yali aneesimbyemu awo. Era yampona. Zanyira mu sente za kisenyi nga azinoonya mbugubi. Kale Arthur, the guy was buying them new for special hire on his team. Hey! For special hire, so I think for some time they knew they were making money. Okitegeera. Taza ninchite. Sijja kukita, ekyo kyo kiganye, kikyaganye okutuula. Musema Saddam, what's up? Tumukunde Moses, what's up? So, but anyway, guys, every person that has a TIN, ngojeka abantu abasasula pay as you earn, you need to pay returns, and your return, you need to do budget income tax. You need to file for income tax every year. Katugenda mu June, we are going to file income tax now. Yes, let me see. We are going to do provisionals and final. We are going to do provisionals and then finals. Kat finals, whatever we get, then we pay. Okitegeera. Joan sirimu banda ego kyomanya nti stories z'ababanda gye ziri e Kampala wano. Golooza lwaki alien skin w'amaanyi. Alien skin alina ababanda ba alien skin bakukuba bakuyisaamu eggaali. There is a mafia in Kampala here, and I think mujjukira this guy Sobi Mubbi oyo. He had his own mafia, but then there are other guys that have their own mafia gangs that they control elsewhere. I remember one of my followers told me a story. He was moving with his wife, and the wife's bag was snatched. Then they went and looked for the leader of the thieves in that area. You get, I don't remember Ngambali Nyachi. Then they reached basuka ku kayumba koyo leader w'ababbi nga ina ne ba bodyguard awa weweru ne bamukonkona. The leader of the thieves in that area came out. He said mbayambe ntya. He said mukyala wange bamubyeko ensawo. And he asked, ensawo ebadde eri muki, ebadde efaanana etya, ababbi abadde afaanana atya. And then they told him, and the guy said sit there. Then the guy went. He came back with the bag intact, everything was there. And then they gave him 50,000 and they left. You get it? But Arthur, it always happens to people who have a good heart. They end up being hurt and disappointed. Yeah. Panada akola ki mu tanka? What do you mean? So guys, try as much as possible to not sell your cars credit. Temuddamu amabanja ayagala okugula amabanja agende mu bondi. Kuba abayayi bo bazisika balina connection mu police biki. But you a normal Ugandan who doesn't have connections, that person will not pay you your money. Ate bakubireyo. And there are people, by the way, that have sold cars. There is a guy when naguza ka Volkswagen Polo. Yagenda mutufu ne kamufaako. Na nkubire simu nangamba, Arthur, you know what? This car, I'm done. Someone is giving me 1 million. I don't have the money to give you. Because he bought it over 3.5. Then he bought it over 4. Then he paid me 3. Then he went and the card, and then sorry, the network. I had to connect to some other network. So the guy of the Poro Demba Nyumiza, he calls me and says, you know what, Arthur, I cannot pay. So this is the solution I have. Either you give me 1 million and take your car, or give me the logbook so that someone gives me 1 million in this car. That was a very tough thing. So what happened is I told him, come for the logbook. He came for the logbook and went. But you know, people don't learn. After getting rid of that Volkswagen, he went and bought a Volkswagen Golf 4. Then the Golf 4 also did. People don't learn. By the way, Arthur, do you teach digital creation? If so, I would like to enroll for a month this July. Digital creation, what do you mean? I teach digital marketing. And then we have even been made it simpler because we have had a lot of people complain, I don't have time. So there is a smaller course, social media marketing, social media and content marketing. That's a 1 week, 5 days, hyper. That one is 200,000. The other one was 300,000 a month, 3 days a week. But still there are people that complain, I don't have time. So we have toned it down, deleted the modules that are too big for most people, and then concentrated on social media where we cover Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp Business, YouTube, TikTok, and X. So those are only the channels that are covered in those 5 days, practical and all. Yeah. So 200,000 for a week of social media and content marketing lessons. So for the guys that don't have time, to enroll for the digital marketing course, then you can probably do network. Guys, just to go through what we have covered today. When you're selling your car, the things you should be doing. First of all, we said keep your car in good condition. Clean and detail your car yourself before you go to BAM Car Care. Be able to detail your car yourself. Sometimes when people the reason why the network is going off. We have said be ready to negotiate. People are going to try to push you down, and then of course get transfer forms out of the system. But so that URA has a record. Transfer forms where we are ejected out of the system, so that someone does bad manners with your car, the police cannot come and say in a moroke chali yo obagamba abayinze nafumya ne transfer form nyinako ne copy. So anytime you sell a car, make sure you get transfer forms for that person. Ozimuwe na osigazeko copy. The copies that you keep are proof that I gave this person transfer forms. Which tegera ere moroka si yange. Which tegera. Then chirala someone for returns, guys. Yeah, I want to get someone for returns. Chirala probably choino kola. Chirala choino kola. Totunda moroka yo mabanja. Don't. Totunda motoka mabanja. No matter what. Tebagenda kusasula. Ugandans don't want to pay. Which tegera. After if you get time, yes, I will. Travel life vlog hi kamba sibule simu ebuguma tansi yeri mkujako network. Mutumba Pade, Joseph Bali Kudembe, Lamek Titi. Tomorrow's broadcast will be at 7:15 a.m. in the morning. Yes, Muyombia Mark, Mudope Joshua, Paul Sema, Hasma, Tusime Eddie, Mulunga Ivan, Saleh Kaziwe, Atwijuka Dickens, Richard Sejengo, Riale, I think that's it. Kenneth Sengoba, Antonio Random Things, Nathan, Sekate Brian, Jovan Semu Wanga, tumuhimbise Darius, Robert Sekide, Hajara, Wagaba Trevor Joram, Chris Fitness Rubudwa, Paul Katunzi Muyomba, JFK at Simple Carrison, Atumanya Rupert, Nabimanya Kevin, Waswa Roderick Foska, Bernard Odongo, Arinaitwe Kevin, Ochaloy Daniel. Yeah, pronounce it Ochaloy. That's how you people pronounce it, right? Yes, Edward Sendagire, Shane Setuba, David Sembatia, Ronald Sambia, Tazan Ali, Aloyo Joan Jojo, Martha Naruoga, Frank Waswa, Prosi Bravo, Johnson Lubinga, guys, thank you very much. Namabali Mukamoli, I don't take you for granted. Martha Naruoga, yes. Tumukunde Moses, Musema Saddam, Jojo Nkumaze, Banaimwe Travel Life Vlog, of course. I wish you Mgalasi Joshua Mixed Farm, of course. I wish you a very lovely evening, guys. Don't drink and drive. Don't be irresponsible with your life. Sirimu aruma swaza atakulesa abana. Zate bange bagenda nyine emyaka ebiri kintu kyekimu anti wange naye naliko omwana w'emyaka 3 nga ndi mu P6 awo ate nga yali andabira at that time ne baawe naye n'agenda closely after a year. So ekiwuka ekyo mukiraba. Of course these days abantu bakyafa but ennaku zino abantu bafa cancer. ARVs ezireeta cancer ne bafa cancer etulooza ddala cancer kumbe kiwuka bya ddala. So guys, mwefeeko mwerabirire. I'll see you tomorrow in the morning. May God bless you. Ciao.